What it do, y'all? It's your boy, Big J, host of the JJ Sports Talk, and also the host of the new show, Keep It J podcast. If you haven't tuned into um last week's episode of the new show, check it out. The YouTube page is Keep It J podcast. Um, Definitely, give the page a follow, subscribe, and hit that post notification. So when we go live, so when I go live, you'll know I go live. Right now I'm live on Facebook, on my main Facebook at Jordan Jean Louis. The Facebook group, Keep It a J podcast group, and then my YouTube page. So definitely check it out. And last week was pretty cool. I had a couple guests on, my brother and my friend Jory, that I met on Sports Empire Network, another totally different show. And this is in this episode, talking about my boy Abel Tesfaye, man. So if y'all know me, I'm a big Weeknd fan. Probably since high school, like junior, senior year. I kind of like listen to Kissland, uh, Beauty Behind the Madness, but not many people know why I like the Weeknd, or why I kind of like enjoy his music. So let me just dive into a little bit of history of the Weeknd, man, for y'all. So obviously he's a global pop star. He sings R&B and pop. He's Ethiopian, of Ethiopian descent. His name is Abel Tesfaye. And he obviously was on a bad path. Back in the day, he did drugs. Let's just say not two good things, that you shouldn't do. He was a high school dropout. I mean, actually, it's a true story. Actually, he was in high school. At the time, his best friend, or his friend, Lamar Taylor, and a couple of his boys in high school. Now Lamar is his like manager, or like one of his managers. They left one. Well, they're the band called The Weeknd. And it's spelled Weekend. So in order to like avoid the copyright of the band's name, he did the Weeknd to like kind of market himself. But it was like he left one weekend and never came back. He was living from house to house. Actually, you know what? So I don't fumble over my words, I can just pull it up real quick. Yeah, let me see. I think this is. All right, this is a good article, right? I'm gonna post this. Thing's always laggy, man. But share screen. All right. So let me know if y'all can see this. I'm gonna read just the history. So The Weeknd was the songbird of this generation. He rose above. This is from Aces, ACeshowbiz.com. So The Weeknd was dubbed the songbird of his generation. He rose above other fellow newcomers with his rich expertise in music. Born Abel Tesfaye in Scarborough, Ontario, Canada, on February 16, 1990, he grew up listening to a variety of music genres, including soul, quiet storm, hip hop, funk, indie, rock, and post-punk. So, like I was saying earlier, before the article, he dropped out of high school at 17 and left one weekend and never came back. In quotations, with some of his friends, it was where his mom came out. It was supposed to be The Weeknd, which I named the band, but got altered to avoid copyright issue with a Canadian band of the same name. So Tesfaye worked on his own music independently and performed from clubs to club, on the street and online until he finally got coverage from Rolling Stone, New York Times, and other big publications. So like the big names, GQ. Oh no, Rolling Stone. New York Times. The big paper publications and other big publications. His fans grew ever since he dropped his first mixtape, House of Balloons. And like I'm gonna get all into this his old albums and stuff after this article. The House of Balloons in 2011 to a critical acclaim. Loaded with songs he crafted over the years, he dropped 2 more street albums, Thursday and Echoes of Silence, for free in the same year. So first of all, before I continue this article, he first of all had made 2 like house mixtapes for free, performed them in clubs, on the street, wherever he could, to like market himself. I mean, if he dropped these songs today without the fame, these songs would probably drop. These songs probably make these songs would probably go platinum. I mean, I bet they probably already are platinum or gold. Now. So loaded with songs he crafted over the years. He dropped 2 more street albums, Thursday and Echoes of Silence, for free in the same year. Both received glowing reviews from critics, with his 3 mixtapes he developed in enigmatic, shadowy persona that set him apart from his competitors. In 2012, he became a really, really big year for him. He landed a spot at Coachella Music Festival in 2012, and a record deal with Republic soon followed. A compilation album called Trilogy, which is probably one of the most famous albums he ever dropped, or mixtapes, featuring songs from his mixtapes, and some new songs were released later in a joint venture with his own imprint label, EXO. But his first official debut didn't come until 2013, when, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's probably one of the best albums he's ever put out. Because I think that he took the most time with the album. Like, you see, like the aesthetics, the green, light green feel to the album, the color. Just like when you listen to the album, it's like, I'll get into this later on in the show or in the podcast episode, but the songs that he makes in that album, you can tell that the beats, he took the time to craft the beats, the lyrics. Now, The Weeknd, like, his lyrics back then, they were raunchy, they were rated R, and I'll get into that later on too. I'll reference the interview that he did with Zane Lowe back in 2018. I mean, as you know, featured the guest for his Hot 200. And Drake assisted the world. Obviously, he put it out. I didn't even know he actually directed his own that music video. He actually was the creative director behind that. I'm assuming that's what sparked his interest into the film industry. As we'll talk about later on in the show as well with The Idol, because I will be discussing that later on in the show. But yeah, he directed that his own music video for "Belong to the World." Drake assisted for Lift. So Kissland symbolizes the tour. So this is from him, the quote from him. Kissland symbolizes the tour life, but it's a world that I created in my head, just like House of Balloons symbolizes Toronto and my experiences there. But it's a world that I created. When I think about Kissland, I think about terrifying places. It's a place I've never been to before that I'm very unfamiliar with, he said. A lot of it inspired by filmmakers like John Carpenter, David Cronenberg, and Ridley Scott, because they know how to capture fear. That's what Kissland is to me, an environment that's just honest fear. I don't know who I am right now. I'm doing all these outlandish things in these settings that I'm not familiar with. To me, it's the most terrifying thing ever. So when you hear the screams and the record, and you hear all these horror references, and you feel scared, listen to the music, because I want you to feel what I'm feeling. Kissland is like a horror movie. I mean, what he's saying is facts, because Kissland, like the sounds, the beats, it's like you're listening to a movie. You have the beginning, the climax of an album, the rising solution, and then the ending to the album. I can't speak for most artists in the music industry, but since I followed The Weeknd since the beginning, the way he does his albums is he kind of starts off he either starts off the album dark and then ends the album lighter, or starts off light and then ends dark. And basically, I mean, we're living in his world, like his imaginary world, like he said in the quote. Like, he wants the listeners, the viewers, to feel what he's feeling. He said that obviously Kissland is a made up town or city, but in his head, he thinks of it as like a horror city where, he's putting these characters into different, settings. So for instance, I'm gonna walk into it, like, so he had the crazy pineapple hair, right? That was what he had the high top fade for, like, the see, the thing about The Weeknd is, when he wasn't really famous, you didn't really know what this man looked like. All you heard was a voice. So imagine, like, you were just, on the radio, driving your car to work or wherever you're going, and you hear this new pop artist pop into the scene, the music industry, and you're like, oh my damn, like, who is this singer? These vocals are out of this world. So then after you listen to him, you Google the guy, but you don't see no pictures of him. Like, back in the day, he never really posted any pictures of himself. He never really took interviews. Like, you notice, artists like Drake and Beyonce and all these, and they're all good art. They're all good GOAT artists. Well, now you see Beyonce, she's obviously touring right now, but I mean, you don't really see her in the limelight in interviews like that unless it's like a big story. But at The Weeknd, you never really heard anything about him until he had an interview. That's why I was shocked when he had an interview with Zane Lowe, which I'll be referencing in a little bit. It was the episode he did before he dropped the 2016 Starboy album. But yeah, like, you never seen this dude's face. You never know what this dude looks like. So, to be honest, that from a market idea, from a market standpoint, that is definitely like a smart way to go about things. Because, like, imagine if, like, he wanted to market himself with the voice and the face. The question is, we never will know. But if he marketed his face and his voice at the same time, would fans fall in love with him? Like, would they just fall in love with his face or fall in love with his voice? So now, since he's marketing just his voice, people are like, oh man, I wanna know more about this dude. Where does this dude come from? At the time, well, not I mean, for like underground artists, I guess you can say SoundCloud is like it's still used for underground artists. Uh, but I believe he dropped his mixtapes on YouTube and SoundCloud. Um, and I mean, I think it's a smart way to market yourself, or he did it the right way at the time because, like, technology was still kind of like, people were trying to, get Facebook and MySpace and Instagram was starting to pop out, and the now, well, it used to be Vine, but now TikTok. So he did this all before the big, like, major, social media platforms came out, and I mean, it like it was smart. It was smart um to market that way. And the only way a fan would know his face or was if he was at like a club or a bar or out on the street performing. Um because that's what this show's about. It's about the unknown to the known because The Weeknd is the most known artist in the world, like the most known like music artist like in the world. Um Obviously he had problems with the Grammys and stuff. That's another conversation for a different day. But I mean, it's fair to say that he is uh, a global pop star. Let me just finish this article. So, Kissland was both a critical and commercial success. Praised by critics, the album landed at number 2 on Billboard 200. And before I go on, I know I'm not a music artist. I mean I can sing, but I can't sing professionally. But I'm not really, I don't have any songs out there. But I'm pretty sure in order for an album or a song to be on the hot 100 or 200 Billboard, I'm pretty sure the song has to be popular, the song has to be streamed a lot, and it has to be played a lot. So keep that in mind when I'm reading this part of the article. So Kissland was both critical and commercial success. Praised by critics, the album landed at number 2 on Billboard 200. Following the album's arrival, The Weeknd promoted it with his headlining King of the Fall tour in 2014. Schoolboy Q, Janae Aiko were supporting the show. While preparing himself for the tour, he released some new songs, including King of the Fall. For the rest of 2014, he continued crashing the charts with Love Me Harder with Ariana Grande, Ariana's second album, and Earned It, which appeared on soundtracks of 50 Shades of Grey. The collaboration with Grande peaked at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100, while his contribution to the controversial movie raised number 3 on the same chart. So not only is he marketing himself for himself, he's marketing himself on other people's songs and people's movies. I mean, all the girls have known or do know the show or the movie 50 Shades of Grey, the whole sexual movie about Christian Grey. Well, on the soundtrack, he has a song called "Earned It," where it's like, "You make it look like it's magic. I see nobody but you." That song right there. So not only is he marketing, it's a little bit of singing right there. So so not only is he marketing himself individually, but he's even marketing himself on movies and other people's like songs and albums. And that too can gain traction for him and the artist that he's on or supporting. So let me just go into. So for the rest of 2014, he continued crashing the charts with "Love Me Harder" from Ariana Grande's second album and "Earned It," which appears on the soundtrack of 50 Shades of Grey. The collaboration with Grande peaked at number 7 on Billboard Top 100, while his contribution to the controversial movie reached number 3 on the same chart. So in May 2015, The Weeknd began teasing his new album by releasing a new song called "The Hills" in his music video. Weeks later after that, another song called "Can't Feel My Face" leaked online. It went on to become the singer's biggest hit to date, reaching number 2 on the Hot 100. In early July, The Weeknd announced that his second studio album, Beat Behind the Madness, will finally arrive on the 20th of August in the year of 2015. His sophomore album became the biggest album to date, peaking at number 1 on Billboard 200 and spawning 2 number 1 singles on the Hot 100. It also made the cut to several best album of 2015 lists. So it's like this man, he's already breaking numbers like at a young age. Now I think he's like 32, 33 now. So he's kind of like been in the game. He's definitely not, underground no more. And obviously, like the industry has changed, and they've changed artists. And obviously, I'm pretty sure that he can still sing raunchy lyrics and radar lyrics, but I'm pretty sure the industry kind of watered the down. Where if you go back to listen to like Trilogy and House of Balloons, like the lyrics are freaking wild. They are explicit. So he had some mixtapes, House of Balloons, and Trilogy. So it's broken up into 3 mixtapes: Trilogy, House of Balloons, and Echoes of Silence. And then he meshes the albums into one whole album called Trilogy, because Trilogy means 3. And as you follow along, or if you follow The Weeknd's journey or life, he has different phases. He plays different characters. Some might be from movies that inspired him or TV shows, or half of it might be just his imagination of what his viewers want to listen to. He wants us to be in his world, his fiction. And that's smart as an artist. Now he obviously, y'all know the song "Love Me Harder" with Ariana Grande. The first song he did with Ariana Grande. Then he did "Off the Table" with her a couple years back. And then now he's doing soundtracks for movies, for 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, this man is smart, and he marketed himself at the right time, I believe, when like social media wasn't really a thing. Now every time we turn on the radio, it's like they're playing The Hills, Starboy, which is his 2016 album, which I'm pretty sure the article will get into. But following his background, I mean, it's crazy. So the next paragraph. Following the album's release, The Weeknd capped off 2015 by joining Future on the rapper's Low Life and dropping his remix version of Jeremiah's Past That months later. He appeared on FML of Kanye West's long-awaited album Life of Pablo. on on 6 inches from Beyonce from her album Lemonade. The Weeknd began teasing his new album in September 16 when he chopped off his signature hair and released the single Starboy featuring Daft Punk. It serves as the title track of the singer's third studio effort, which is scheduled for release on November 25th. He has also promoted his new LP with the live performance of Starboy and another song called False Alarm on Saturday Night Live. This article really covers everything. Like, so he's marketing himself, he's marketing his songs, or he's marketing himself, his voice on other people's like albums and songs, while advertising or marketing his voice on soundtracks of movies, from from 50 Shades of Grey to getting on Beyonce's. We already know what Beyonce brings to the table as far as popularity. So he's getting on Lemonade, on Kanye. I know people have mixed feelings about Kanye now, but I don't care what people say. Kanye is a musical genius. And for him to be on a song on his album even gains him more popularity. And like how the article said, for Starboy, he cut off his hair. He cut off his pineapple looking hair, which a lot of fans didn't like. They missed the long hair, the Basquiat type hairstyle, the painter. But so this is where I'm gonna get into the Zane Lowe interview. So he used to follow this thing called King of the Fall. So he would release an album September, November, December, around that time. Drop the album, and then like wait a whole nother year until the next fall to drop an album. So in 2016, he had an interview, his first ever interview, I believe, with Zane Lowe. That's why I was so shocked that he took an interview. And so going back to the lyrics, Zane Lowe asked Abel, "Why do you think your lyrics appeal more to women than men?" And he replied, "Women like dark." He pointed out that when 50 Shades of Grey, the movie came out, girls fell in love with the movie. And don't even start with the whole books. Girls fell in love with the books. So if girls like that dark, raunchy, lyric vibe, why wouldn't women fuck with his dark lyrics? It's so hard as an artist, like a podcaster, a sports and athlete. It's hard to find that audience, find that niche. For instance, it's kind of off topic, but my sports. My sports podcast, right? And for this podcast too, the Keep It J podcast. I had to find my niche where I can find one group that likes this, and then find this podcast that I'm on right now, find something that people want to talk about. Because people don't want to talk about sports all the time. People want to know what's going on in the music world, the entertainment world, the fashion world. So I had to find my niche. So that's what the Weeknd did. I mean, he targeted a certain gender, a certain genre of music, and you can ask like majority of women today that they like that they love the Weeknd. Um, I mean, he found his niche. Um, and he said that yeah, I mean, who doesn't? What girl doesn't like darkness? I'm trying to find that transcript of 1 second, y'all. I'm gonna keep this. One second, y'all. It's perfect. It's not the whole interview. Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. All right, let me stop sharing, and then I'm going to share this one. Share screen. Okay. So this is part of like this is from Complex. I mean, the interview was like 46, almost an hour interview, but there was a couple, quotes that I want to bring up. So, throughout his career, The Weeknd, Abel Tesfaye has preferred to stay mysterious and let the music speak for himself. And Complex is probably one of the most respected music, you know, Instagram pages and probably publication for music. So I highly credit their work and articles and posts. Um, so Abel Tesfaye has preferred to stay mysterious and let the music speak for himself, for itself. But along with the release of his new album, Starboard, he agreed to sit down with Zane Lowe on Beats One for his first on-camera interview. Several short clips from the conversation were released yesterday. I'm assuming this article was published the day after the interview, but today you can watch the interview in its entirety. And if you do have free time, go check it out. Because obviously it's like if you don't know The Weeknd, like you can definitely learn more about him. Um, so explaining how the pursuit of wealth has shaped his career, he explained trilogy was more like the wealth was the motive. Then after Kissland, you finally have the wealth and we're enjoying it. And then of course everybody wants to be rich, but it comes with its negatives as well. So this is before he he dropped Starboy. Starboy is the next chapter in his chronicle. Um, the saga. That's what he says. I guess this is the fourth chapter. He's a chapter that we created. It's so funny. We want to create a comic out of him as well. He's cool, dope character that makes appearances a lot on the album. He's definitely made his appearance in different records in the past as well. He's more braggadocious character that we'll all have inside of us. So touching on his substance abuse issues at the beginning of it, I didn't get to that yet. Um, but the fact that the Weeknd and Zane Lowe, that was his first like interview. Um, was pretty big when it first came out. I feel like the reason why he did it, his first interview was, he wanted. It was, I think it was like, you know what? It's about time for the people to see my face. It's about time for people to have a face to the name. That's like with podcasting. If you have a podcast, some people do audio, some people do video. When you're streaming games on Twitch or anywhere else you stream games, YouTube, most people do audio because they're nervous about what they look like or how they sound. Which is, if you look at it, it's kind of negative because you shouldn't judge people off of looks. But we live in a generation in a social norm where people on social media judge anything you do, especially with a star like this, like The Weeknd. Like there's gonna be critics that are gonna say, he's this, he's that, da da da. But I think he felt like it was time to do an interview where his face was shown, because like I said earlier, like he never did any like in-person interviews, no, and he still doesn't. Like he only does like if he interviews somebody from a news publication like Variety or something, he would do that. But the fact that he came out with a podcast episode with Zane Lowe and kind of described what he's going through and everything, the fact that he was doing drugs and this and that and dropping out of high school and doing that, living out of cars and homeless and just like live from house to house. He's basically saying that like Trilogy was like his Canadian years in Scarborough, while Kissland was more like a horror city. I'm assuming the reason why he cut his hair, he wants to be reborn, fresh look. But these are characters, comics. This dude is smart, man. Dude is smart with the marketing. So let me get back to the article. So this is touching on the substance abuse. I used to go on stage drunk. I would drink a bottle of Hennessy on stage at my first shows. Coachella, the first show ever, I was drunk just to take the edge off of it. It wasn't until Coachella, my first show, that I actually watched it and saw how I performed and hated my performances. He just wasn't a star. You have to fight the nerves. You have to. He continued. You're singing to people. It's an emotional thing. You're not normal if you sing to people. You know what I mean? You're not a normal person. It's nerve-wracking. Go. You're literally putting yourself out to hundreds and thousands of people. Anytime you see your favorite artist and they are screwing up and aren't hitting notes, it's not because they can't sing. They're fucking scared. He also revealed that he had plans to go to the studio with Prince right before he passed away, hinted at future collaboration with Drake. Trying to find another article. Yeah, the full podcast is on Apple Music. I think it's still on there. But I mean, for like copyright, I can't show the actual interview. Out of Zane Lowe's respect, but it's definitely a good interview. But let me just go back to the fact of what he said in an article about being nervous and drinking on stage. I mean, he's not making it up. I mean, think about it. People do karaoke, and that's in front of like maybe 50, maybe 100 people. If it's at a restaurant, maybe 150. If it's at on a cruise or at a dive bar. I mean, most people that I've talked to or friends that I've talked to, they don't do karaoke unless they're like tipsy because they know if they're sober, they're not gonna sing right. So imagine, this is what the Weeknd is saying. He's saying that like he used to go on stage drunk, drink during his shows, and he didn't really like that. After he watched his performances, because he felt like he wasn't his real self when he sung drunk. Um, but I mean, I get it. I mean, if you're me, I've never performed in front of thousands of people or millions of people. But you can imagine like if you're like coming up into the pop culture and like the music culture, of course you're gonna be nervous. I mean, people might look at you one way, they might tune out your voice. I mean, with me, I had no shame when I do karaoke. I might have a cup of something, like, just, maybe get relaxed before I sing karaoke. But because he said it in the interviews, he said that, like in the paragraph I showed you, he said that he didn't feel like his real self when he was drunk. I mean, you can just imagine like the nerves, like the nerve wracking before you go out to a bar and people you don't know, people they're not like in your circle. You're broadcasting your voice to thousands of people at a concert. I mean, of course, people are going to judge you, but I think the Weekend overcame that nerve because as if you go on YouTube, you look up like older concert videos. He seems kind of like stiff and timid. But as he's gotten older and more matured and he's gets more popular, you can tell he's comfortable at his concerts. Like you can tell he's like he's more sane. He knows what he's aware. And I've seen the Weekend like 3 times live: Philadelphia, DC, and here in Jersey at MetLife for his After Hours Till Dawn tour. But you can only imagine that, like, what goes through your mind before you go out there in front of thousands of people and sing. But lucky for him, I mean, like I said earlier in the podcast episode, that people didn't know what he looked like. They just knew the face, so they knew what he was going to sound like, but they didn't know what he was going to look like. So I recommend you, like, check out that podcast on Apple Music, or go to Zane's profile on Apple Music and um, look up that interview, and you'll see why. Like, I gain so much respect for Abel and his craft. So let me just go there and share this article so I can finish it. This one, share screen, Weekend biography. All right. So, Starboy, 2016. Uh, so he kind of advertised on Saturday Night Live. Some of the songs on Starboy. Starboy, which was the main song, which is the title of the album, and False Alarms. Starboy received positive reviews from music critics and even debuted atop the Billboard 200 chart. The effort racked up 348,000 album units, marking the third largest debut sales week of 2016, as well as the second biggest week of an album streams. It was later certified double platinum by the RIAA. Releasing the album was not the only thing that The Weeknd did that year, as he premiered a 12-minute short film titled Mania on November 23rd, directed by Grant Singer, and it featured excerpts from the third studio album, including snippets from All I Know, featuring Future, Sidewalks featuring Kendrick Lamar, and Secrets in Dire Feet. Thanks to his success of Starboy, The Weeknd received numerous nominations in the following year. He was able to bring home several awards, including Best Urban Contemporary Album at the Grammy Awards, as well as Best Video for Starboy at the MTV Europe Music Awards. In 2017, also saw the R&B singer being hit with several romance rumors. Obviously, people who follow Abel, he dated this the model Bella Hadid. He was also dating Jennifer Aniston. At the time, Jennifer had broken up with Justin Trudeau, but rumors were never confirmed. The Weeknd took a different approach for release of the first EP, My Dear Melancholy. Instead of premiering singles off the EP one by one, the Canadian singer surprised fans by releasing the whole effort on March 3rd, 2018. Despite making its way out unnoticed, the six-track set debuted atop the Billboard 200 chart. The Weeknd also released music from track Call Out My Name ahead of his performance at the Coachella Valley Music Festival in Indio, California on April 13th. So as we can already sense, the Weeknd is, I mean, the way he markets his stuff is brilliant. And some artists, I follow on Instagram, like Drake and other, like Beyonce, they advertise like their posts on Instagram. The Weeknd now he's starting to get more involved on Twitter and like Instagram more often, but before he never posted anything. The only time you heard him was when he advertised or teased a song off his new album or whatever. So I mean, he goes through different phases. So the Trilogy era, the Kissland era, the Beat Behind the Madness era, Starboy, My Dear Melancholy, After Hours, and then he dropped the deluxe album, and then he released After Hours. Dawn FM, and you notice that like throughout each chapter or phase in his career, there's different characters, different outfits, different personas. I mean, he was in Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. He directed or he co-directed the show on HBO Max, The Idol, which is a pretty good show. But let me see. Bear with me, pulling the article real quick. One second, y'all. Trying to look up this article real quick. Let me 1 second. I know he sold out 2 shows back to back. Okay, here it is. So this is from Hypebeast, another popular music culture publication. So I credit them with my podcast episode. Thank you, Hypebeast, for the article. So the Weeknd's After Hours Tour Dawn Tour, global stadium tour, is in full swing. Having successfully kicked off its European leg, the artist has traveled worldwide to promote his Dawn FM album release in 2022, selling out one stadium after another with no signs of slowing down. Last weekend, Abel arrived in London to deliver 2 live shows destined for the history books. Here, the Weeknd broke London Stadium's record for the highest attending gigs in its history, with 80,000 people visiting each show for a total of 160,000 fans. The Weeknd's cult British following came ready for action, proving his overwhelming support in the UK. While Abel is scheduled to return to London in August, his tour has already sold over 2 million tickets across Europe, South America, and Mexico. The After Hours Tour Dawn Tour will continue in Barcelona, Milan, Paris, embarking on Latin America territories this fall. So I think he's done. His last show was Wembley, and I'm gonna pull that article up too. Now another article from Hypebeast. Okay, it's this one. Falling for you was my mistake. All right. So his last stop for a Europe tour, he stopped in London again, but at Wembley Stadium. So on August 18th, the Weeknd held a one-night only concert at London's Wembley Stadium, continuing his After Hours Tour Dawn tour that has achieved record-breaking numbers. The Weeknd's London show welcomed approximately 87,000 guests, breaking Wembley Stadium's record for sales with their traditional concert setup, as announced by Live Nation. The Weeknd's Capital show closed out his European tour leg before announcing Australia and New Zealand dates to end 2023, selling the highest number of tickets in Wembley Stadium history. The Grammy Award winners After Hours Till Dawn tour hosted over 1.6 million attendees across several shows in London, Milan, and Paris. He also broke the attendance record with 160,000 concert goers across 2 nights at London Stadium in July. The Weeknd will head to Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, and Auckland in November alongside special guests Mike Dean and Cherry after hitting Latin America with Kashana next month. So I mean, this the Weeknd came from, dropping out of high school, doing drugs, doing things you shouldn't, homeless, not well known, to selling out shows. I mean, 80,000 fans across 2 nights is freaking wild. Adding up to 160,000. And then they had 87,000 fans come to your show in London, the biggest show he's ever done, like crowd-wise. That is pretty amazing. Now he's, he like interviewed with GQ, Forbes. He's done it all. He's done it all as an artist. And like the fact that he said he was nervous at one point going on stage, he would drink and stuff and do all that on stage. And to now, like, stuff, doing it in front of like 80+ thousand fans, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's out of this world. And that's why I give my flowers to Abel, man. He's done it, man. He's done it. And now he said that his last feature will be with P. Diddy on Another One of Me, which Diddy advertised, I think yesterday on Instagram. And now the Weeknd is killing the Weeknd. And he's gonna perform only under his name Abel Tesfaye. I mean, this man's smart, man. So basically, the Weeknd is a character. Obviously, it's his stage name. And he's not performing any songs under under the name Weeknd, the Weeknd. So he's performing under Abel Tesfaye because at Wembley he said, London, Wembley Stadium, I go by the name Abel Tesfaye, and I love you. Rather he normally does, London, I go by the name The Weeknd, I love you. He's ending the outros with his real name. And he said he's not gonna stop making music, just not under the Weeknd's name. But for an artist that has, just made mixtapes and his first album, and only people hearing his voice and not seeing his face, and being nervous and being shy around, like, new people when he's performing, to selling out shows back to back, 87,000 over 2 nights, to ending the European tour with 87,000 in one night, grossing over 1.6 million in sales. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I applaud him for that because he's earned it, man. He's earned it. He's earned it. But if y'all have any questions, any about the Weeknd or anything, let me know in the comments or shoot me a message on Instagram at JJL_XO. If you're tuning in, please subscribe to the show, Keep It a J podcast. Subscribe to the channel. If you want to be a guest on the show, let me know. I can add you onto the show. This is a show that I want to have guests on. I want to hear different perspectives on things, and I know I got a couple Weeknd fans. So if y'all want to hop on the show one of these days, let me know. But definitely, if you're tuning in on YouTube or Facebook, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, let me know. But I think that's it for today. So with that being said, this is Big J, aka The Weeknd, the Weeknight. Real name Jordan Jean-Louis. Your boy is out. Peace.